What's up, guys? It's Tyler McKinney back here again today, and today we're going to go ahead and we are going to wrap up the XFL Draft. We are going to recap day 2. If it is your first time here, thanks for watching. I'm glad to have you, and hopefully you like this video and can check out some other content on my YouTube page. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. Thank you for coming in and watching all the content and watching my videos. And if you haven't, please subscribe. I need all the help I can get. So if you could please subscribe for me, that would be great. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. XFL Draft Day 2 is finally over. Let's just take it in. Let's just sit back. Let's just take this in. Because we just finished something historic that will probably never happen again. And I have to say that I think the XFL did it right. I think that their phase setup, the way that they did it with 5 phases and breaking everything up into those different phases and doing it that way and having a nice low-key draft, it just worked. I know some guys were giving it guff and, like, how can they just use a Windows-based countdown and not get, not do anything, fancy? Come on. I mean, there are guys who do better stuff in their basements. It doesn't matter. The guys were excited. The coaches were excited. They were in it. They were in this draft. And it was cool. It was a cool setup. It was neat the way that it was done. So, hats off to them. But the fact of the matter is we're done with a historic event that we will probably never have again. Because the fact of the matter is I don't think that next year's draft will be anything like this year's. And I think it'll be cool too because it'll be the first of its kind. So let's go ahead and let's get into the phases for a second. Really, the first phase of the day, which would have been the 4th phase, was the DBs, the D-backs, and nothing too crazy here that really stood out to me. Like I said, we're going to go over a lot of and review a lot of the rosters and what I think about the rosters and all that in a later time. I'm just kind of going over the overview of kind of how I felt about the draft and kind of some things that stuck out to me. But out of the DBs, the one of the things that stuck out to me was that Kenny Robinson, he's the guy that they kind of showcased, and he's the college player who was ineligible for the NFL draft, but was eligible for the XFL draft, and he was drafted. He was drafted in the 5th round of the 4th phase. He was drafted by St. Louis, and so it's pretty cool. It's, again, a historic event. Like I said, the XFL, some of this stuff you'll never see again, and he's going to be the very first player, especially if he can make the team. That's going to say something for some of these guys who just want to play football or are good football talent, and for some reason or another, things didn't go their way to get really a shot in the NFL. This is a good way for them to get a shot. So, one, kudos to Kenny for getting himself ready and getting himself prepared. And kudos for the XFL for jumping on this opportunity, because that's what it's about. When opportunities arise, go ahead and taking them. And in this instance, the XFL took it. And I think that next year you're probably going to see that compound upon that and them add to, and maybe even add in a new historic thing. So that's kind of cool. So that was kind of the highlight for me of the 4th phase. Now, granted, the thing about the whole draft that I noticed is it is just littered with guys with NFL experience and just talented guys. Now, we'll see how that translates onto the field, but man, you looked at a lot of these DBs and a lot of this, and you're like, these are some talented dudes. This is going to be really interesting. And so that was kind of a cool thing for the Phase 4. Phase 5 was a little bit different animal to kind of figure out, but the cool thing is that as you kind of got into like the 3rd phase, the 4th phase, and then definitely in the 5th phase, you started to see how some of these teams are taking their approach to how they want their personnel and what really matters to them in the personnel with that. I was kind of shocked. I thought that there would be more quarterbacks taken than what there were, but we'll see. The fact of the matter is that you really only need a couple quarterbacks, but I don't know. With the way that things have been of late, you might need 3 or 4 of them. So some of these teams that that have come away with a thinner quarterback roster, they might they might be questioning themselves a little bit later on, especially when the season comes around. I don't know, but that was kind of something that was really interesting to me. Another thing that was interesting to me was the kickers. When they were being taken, I mean, it wasn't like ridiculously like, oh, well, kickers are, but just the fact of the matter that they were taken as early as they were, and that they weren't just all the last guys off of the board. I was kind of surprised with that, and also pleasantly pleased with that, because a lot of times when you get into these lower level of football, the stuff that kind of goes by the wayside, and they can be the difference between winning and losing, are special teams. I mean, if you can back up a team and have them starting, inside their 5, inside their 10, and that can be a huge, huge game changer. And that can change how they call plays and can really give your team an advantage. And especially if you got a guy who can kick field goals in the pro game, that's huge. And we kind of saw that a little bit with the AAF last year, just, how inexperienced some of those guys were, and the kicks that they missed. The other thing is that translates onto the field. If you don't have a good kicker, you're not going to have the confidence in them, and you're probably going to go for more 4th downs in areas, when you would normally be kicking a field goal and getting, 3 points, you might actually be missing a 4th down, or a drive might be continued on. So it's definitely a different approach. But for some of these teams, really taking the kicker and the kicking positions, whether it be punter or kicker positions, seriously was really a big kind of a thing that kind of stood out to me. It was kind of neat that they even mentioned it, to where the kicking game, which is good. Special teams, football wouldn't be football without special teams, and so special teams is one of those unsung heroes that you need to have in the game, that when it's good and when it's really good, people don't say anything about it and they really don't notice it a whole lot. But when it's bad, it's bad, and it's really noticeable. So I'm hoping that with some of this emphasis on kicking, that I hope that we will have some good play in that area. Really. Yeah, so those were kind of my thoughts. Today was a little bit more bearable. You kind of had an idea from yesterday what was going on. Still, with, like I said, with the players and stuff, there's just so much thrown at you all at once that it's really hard to consume it. I was kind of surprised about like a lot of the guys that that were taken today, mainly in the last phase. A lot of them were guys that are just names from like D2, D3 schools, these super small schools. And it's kind of cool. They're getting a chance to play. They got a chance to showcase their talent, and the coaches noticed that. And so we're going to have, it's going to be neat, because what's going to happen is we're going to start hearing about these guys that we've never heard of before. And to be like, wow, you're going to see me like, that's a dude. And then, so we're going to be talking about these guys and these guys that are going to be stepping up, that were picked in this, this last 5th phase, and they're going to become stars in the league. And it's like somebody we've never heard of, come from, podunk D3 school. And this guy is just great. And we're wondering, why in the world why is he not on another NFL roster? And it's just because he got buried, So it's really interesting to kind of see that, and to see a lot of these guys get an opportunity and a chance, a legit chance to play some professional football. So I thought that was really cool. It gives us little guys a shot, and I thought that was neat. But yeah, in the end of the day, really pleased with the draft. I know some guys were disappointed. Some guys wanted a little bit more production with all of this. But it's all been professional. It's been done professionally. I liked watching. They had a couple of those recap little sights and sounds videos, and it was kind of cool. The guys were excited. I love the head coach from the Wildcats, who was kind of bantering back and forth with the player on the on the phone, and trying to get him to roar like the Wildcat, and so that was cool to see them have fun with this, and to take it like they have, and to be serious but understand and know where it is. That was really, really interesting to me. The question is now, where do we go from here? Because we just had this big draft, and we're all going to go through, and we're all going to break down, and we're going to look at these teams and where we think that they're going to go. They need to take now these rosters and put together some legitimate football teams. And I really hope that they do that. I really hope that they sit down and they put together some teams that are exciting, and they try to go through and do things in a way that are successful and that are good, and not just the same old, and trying to show that these guys should have been in the NFL because we can run a pro-style offense just like everybody else. I don't want that. It's been tried many, many times before. You can go look at, look at the United Football League. You can look at the AAF. You can look at tons of failed leagues. They've tried that. Make the XFL football XFL football. I want it to be this cool hybrid of high-powered college offenses, ran efficient, ran fast-paced, flawlessly. You can tell that these guys are professional, and I want to see these defenses running around. I want to see them hitting guys. I want to see them not being held back by rules that they can only do certain things, and that they can actually run a real defense where they're actually scheming things. And so I'm really looking forward to the innovative way that the XFL not only is going to bring football on the field, but also how they're going to present the game to us. If you haven't noticed yet, just look at all the things that Vince McMahon's been part of. Now, not all of these things are his ideas, but what he has done is that he's been an innovator in the industries and the places that he's been. Whether you like him or not, he's been an innovator, and it's really going to be cool to see how they innovate from here. I really thought that the draft, the way that they did it, I thought it was great. I thought they were innovative in their approach to the draft. I thought that it was a lot to take. Each team gets 71 players, at the end of everything, with adding in the tier 1 quarterbacks. And even though it was a lot, it wasn't unbearable. It was a little bit cumbersome time to take in, but it wasn't anything that was too much. And the way that they broke it down and they did it was really interesting, and it kept you engaged, and it kind of had you focused on a specific part of the game as opposed to looking at everything all at once. And so it was kind of nice because it kind of compartmentalized things there for you for a little bit. So you're able to kind of stay in kind of the same type of mindset, whether it was, look at the skill positions, whether it was the DBs, whether it was the defensive front seven or the linemen. It really kind of helped you to kind of, get focused on that. So I really like the innovative way that they did things. And I'm just excited for things here for the future. I thought it was a very good 2 days. There was no pyrotechnics. There wasn't any big explosions. There wasn't any, standout, really amazing moments. I just thought it was an overall good success. They had a lot of publicity behind them. They had a lot of things going for them well. It seemed like every outlet you could find the XFL stuff. The information was really out there. Did they really have a whole lot of big flashy names and stuff? No, but right now they've kind of got what they need, and I think that going forward we'll see more transpire from that and go from there. I really think that they've started themselves off well, and the draft went well, and I think that we're really going to these teams are going to have very different approaches to playing football, so that when you sit down to watch an XFL game, they're going to be vastly different in the approaches, and these games are going to be different. Whereas felt like when I sat down and watched an AAF game, I kind of knew, okay, they were going to kind of run this type of pro style offense, and this is the way that the defense is going to run because the defense has to run this way. That's not how it's going to be in the XFL. I think it's, like I said, it's going to be innovative, and I think that you're going to see that transpire on the field. And so it's going to be exciting because every time when you watch, it's going to be something new, something exciting, and something different, and something lasting. I truly believe that this league is going to succeed, and we're going to have it around for a long time. But anyways, that's what I think. Those are my thoughts. The question is, what do you think? What did you get out of the 2 days of the draft? Did you like it? Did you not? Was it just way too much for 2 days? Was it just not enough and underwhelming for you? I don't know. I'd love to hear it, though. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your ideas down in the comments section. You guys come up with some pretty awesome stuff and a lot of ideas that I had absolutely no clue. And you guys come from a very different perspective a lot of times. So I love reading your comments and I love interacting with you down in the comments section. All right, well, I know that you're busy. I know that I'm busy. So let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.